No one stayed on the fourth floor of the Harwick building for longer than 3 weeks. Not because of the rent. Not because of the noise or difficult neighbors. But for a reason that no one on the management staff ever dared say out loud. Room 404 was always empty. Not empty because no one rented it. Empty because tenants always left. Quietly. In a hurry. And usually without saying goodbye to anyone. Marcus Hale was the 11th. He moved in on an October afternoon, when the air had begun to turn cool and the streetlights painted the wet roads in amber. Marcus was a freelance journalist. A man accustomed to living alone in unfamiliar rooms in unfamiliar cities. He didn't believe in ghosts. He didn't believe in omens. He believed in deadlines and black coffee. Room 404 was just large enough, with one window that looked out onto the old brick wall of the building across the alley. Nothing unusual. No strange smell, no stains on the walls, no mysterious sounds on the first night. On the second night, Marcus woke up at 3 a.m. Not from a sound. Not from a nightmare. He simply woke up. Eyes open, staring straight at the ceiling in complete darkness. The first strange thing he noticed was that he couldn't remember closing his eyes. As though one moment he'd been sitting at his desk working, and the next he was lying in bed, with the time in between cut away by someone else's hand. He glanced at the clock on the table. 3:14 a.m. Then he saw it. In the corner of the room where the darkness was deepest, a shape stood perfectly still. Not clearly defined, just a patch of dark that was somehow darker than everything surrounding it, with the rough outline of a person standing and looking toward him. Marcus lay still. His heart was pounding, but he didn't cry out. He was a journalist. His first instinct was always to observe. He stared hard into the corner. 1 second. 2. 10. Nothing. Just darkness. Just his eyes adjusting, his mind drawing shapes out of nothing. He exhaled. Reached for his phone. Turned on the flashlight. The corner was empty. The next day he asked Mrs. Nguyen, the building manager, a small woman with hair pulled tightly back and eyes that always drifted slightly to the right when she spoke, why the previous tenants had left. She paused a beat longer than usual before answering. They got transferred. Or went back home. People move on, you know. All 10 of them? Within 3 weeks. She looked at him. This time her eyes didn't drift to the right. She looked directly into his, very slowly. You've been counting? Marcus didn't answer. But he started taking notes. The 5th night. This time he set up a camera. A small one mounted in the corner of the room, fully charged, memory card empty. He wanted evidence. Something to prove to himself there was nothing there, or if there was, something to write about. He fell asleep at 11. Woke up at 3:14 a.m. Same time again. He didn't look toward the corner immediately. He lay still, counted to 10, then slowly turned his head. The corner was empty. But something was different this time. The feeling of being watched. It wasn't coming from the corner. It was coming from behind him. From the space between his back and the wall at the head of the bed. He didn't dare turn around. He lay like that until morning. When he reviewed the footage, 7 hours of recording. The room. Him sleeping. Nothing unusual. Until minute 247, 3:14 a.m. The camera showed Marcus lying on his side, back to the wall. And then, for exactly 17 seconds, the image on the camera didn't change. Not a freeze. Not a glitch. Just, nothing moved. Not Marcus's chest. Not the curtain, which had been swaying gently in the air conditioning all night. For 17 seconds, everything in the room went completely still. Then he woke up. Marcus brought the video to a friend who worked in digital media. Her name was Elena Marsh. More skeptical than he was, the kind of person who found the technical explanation first and considered everything else only after. Elena watched the clip 3 times. Camera malfunction, she said, though her voice didn't carry its usual confidence. Check again. She checked the metadata. Frame rate. Sensor temperature data. No technical fault, she said after 15 minutes. The camera was working perfectly. It's just that during those 17 seconds, not a single pixel changed anywhere in the frame. Meaning what? Elena looked at him. Meaning the air in the room stopped moving. The light didn't fluctuate. Your chest didn't rise or fall. She paused. Technically speaking, it means that for 17 seconds you weren't breathing. He didn't leave. This was what set Marcus apart from the 10 before him. They left. He stayed. Not out of bravery. Because he was a journalist. And a good story was always worth more than a peaceful night's sleep. On the 8th night he didn't set up the camera. He sat up, made coffee, and settled at his desk facing the corner of the room, the corner where he always felt the thing resided. He opened his laptop. Started typing. He typed what he'd observed. The details. The facts. The dates and times. At 2 a.m. he stopped. On the screen in the document he'd been writing, there was a line he had no memory of typing. It isn't in the corner. It's behind you. It's always been behind you. Since the very first night. Marcus stared at that line for a long time. Same font. Same language. Same typing style. But he hadn't written it. He was certain of that. Or, and this was the thought that made him go cold, he had written it. But couldn't remember. Like the stretches of time cut away each night at 3:14. Like the 17 seconds of no breathing on the camera. There were moments he was no longer in control of himself. He called Elena at 2:30 a.m. "I need you to leave that room," she said the moment she heard his voice. "I'm fine." "Marcus, you're calling me at 2:30 in the morning and you sound like someone who just surfaced from underwater." He said nothing. "Are you sleeping?" "Yes." "Can you remember sleeping?" That question landed somewhere. Marcus didn't answer immediately. "Not exactly," he said. "Get out. Right now. Take what you need and walk out." He looked around the room. The desk. The bed. The laptop screen still glowing with that line of text. And for the first time since he'd moved in, he felt it, not in the corner, not behind his back, but inside him. As though during those 17 seconds each night, when he stopped breathing, something had been slowly filling the space left behind. And after 8 nights, that space was no longer small. Marcus left the room at 2:47 a.m. He didn't take everything. Just his laptop, his phone, and his car keys. As he passed the management desk in the lobby, he noticed Mrs. Nguyen sitting there. At nearly 3 in the morning, in complete darkness, no lights on, both hands laid flat and straight on the desk. He didn't stop. He walked straight to the door. Outside, the night air was cold and real. He stood on the pavement and breathed. Breathed deeply, deliberately, making sure he was actually breathing. He never went back for the rest of his things. 3 weeks later, he met up with Elena and told her everything. "What do you think it was?" she asked. Marcus thought for a moment. "I don't know," he said. "But I know one thing. When I walked out, I looked back up at the 4th floor window. And for 1 second, just one, I saw someone standing there looking down." Elena was quiet. "And that person," Marcus said, his voice completely even, "looked exactly like me. Room 404 has a new tenant now. A young man who moved in at the start of the month. His name is Daniel. Today is his 14th day there. Tonight, for the first time, he woke up at 3:14 a.m. and couldn't remember closing his eyes.